I welcome the fact that Linda Irvine is addressing a meeting of the Shannon at Oireachtas na Gaeilge. I think the last time we had engagement as a committee, I think we met Linda Irvine some years ago at the opening of the Skegness Centre at the Newtown Ards Road. The late Deputy First Minister Martin McGuinness and First Minister Peter Robinson at the time were doing the official opening, and we were there that day, and did a great day for that community and for the different funding programmes. And I know our own Department of Foreign Affairs were a substantial contributor to that development as well, from recollection. I welcome, and I've had plenty of engagement with your body over the years, and there has been great progress since the initial Peace 1 programme. And you know, in the different Peace 1 and the other programmes that have occurred, and I think you're into a very exciting phase now. The fact that there's such a very, very substantial allocation for the Peace Plus programme. There's a very substantial commitment in our National Development Plan for cross-border projects, the highest ever, and also the shared island. So there's a huge pool of resources there, and I think hopefully at the end of the designated period that we're not looking at an underspend. So I think we're into a time where it'd be great to get the programmes up and running fast. And I welcome the fact that you said, Gina, that you hope to be inviting applications by summertime of this year, which is great. And I know you have been engaging with communities, and some of us tried to participate in the feedback that you wanted as well. And I think over the years, from the very first Peace programme, there was a great effort to engage communities. And I remember going to many, I'm sure Deputy O'Dowd did at the time as well, go to many public meetings and small community centres where people were striving to enhance existing poor facilities in parish halls, and we saw them become very substantial resource community centres that have really been a great addition to their local community, facilitating classes, facilitating meetings, recreation and sporting activities. And I have to say the Peace 1 and its successor programmes have played an enormous role in bringing that new social investment into communities, in the communities that you spoke about, that Deputy Rose spoke about as well, in relation to areas that were traditionally deprived and disadvantaged. So it's important that we continue that work. You might give us an outline later. What will be the breakdown in relation to capital and current funding? Initially, to my recollection, the first Peace 1 was very much bricks and mortar, putting in place projects. And, you know, that followed on literally from the International Fund for Ireland, or working alongside the then International Fund for Ireland. And I welcome the fact that you have a heavy emphasis, quite rightly, on the whole education provision. We have had different witnesses before this committee in recent times, and it's alarming the lack of skills in a substantial cohort of the population in Northern Ireland, and in some communities here too. And that's an area that needs to be addressed. You mentioned the fact that Southwest College won an award in the climate area, and I think that was recognised at the Climate Summit in Glasgow. And I understand for some students attending Southwest College in Enniskillen, and also some people being in the college, that's a fabulous facility. And congratulations to everybody who have contributed to that welcome piece of infrastructure, education and infrastructure. One thing that I raised with the Taoiseach in questions, and also with our Minister for Further and Higher Education, the need to grow the further education sector on an all-Ireland cross-border basis. I think above all sectors of education, training and the provision of skills, the colleges of further education have been key to ensuring that people progressed in education. I've seen so many young people who didn't finish their formal second level education, maybe go back to second chance education in the youth read centres, then go on to further education, get good awards from those colleges, and many of them thankfully today gone on getting their primary degrees, and some doing postgrads as well. So I think we need as a country, both north and south, to lay a greater emphasis on the importance of the further education sector. Both the Taoiseach and Minister Harris committed to me that they would be very interested in having a more formal structure in relation to the provision of further education on an all-Ireland basis. That can be tied in with the Shared Island Initiative, with the substantial funding that our new designated Department of Further and Higher Education has. And I think maybe your body could give some lead or underpin that work as well. I know myself, and I'm sure every one of us public representatives at this meeting know of so many young people who didn't get the best start in education, maybe at primary and second level, but then went on through further education and did extremely well, thankfully, for themselves, their families and for their community. So I believe that we should have a greater emphasis, and I'm thinking, again, being much influenced by where we all come from ourselves. We have a very good college of further education, Cavan Institute. You have a very good college in Enniskillen. You have other colleges around the border area. I believe that there is great scope for more collaboration. And it's not and ensuring that we're not competing with one another, that we're complementing each other, and that we ensure that the relevant education provision is made for students on a cross-border basis. I think there's great potential there. And again, it's to try to reach the people who are hardest to reach and who have got least qualifications. I think that's very, very important. And you mentioned in your opening remarks, Gina, about the need to promote social inclusion, particularly for those at the margins of economic and social life. And I welcome the fact that there's an emphasis in the new Peace Plus programme on that. And again, in different Dáil debates, the Minister for Public Expenditure, Deputy Michael McGrath, told the Dáil different occasions that there would be a substantial commitment to ensuring that the needs of people at the margins, or the people who have not got the opportunities for education and for employment that we all want to see, that they would be heavily supported through this particular programme. You mentioned as well in your contribution about a renewed focus on rural and border communities, support regeneration and re-imaging of rural areas that have been most affected from a lack of investment for decades. I think we are now in a new era. We have substantial money, thankfully, available for these programmes. But we've also a new mindset in regard to what can be done in rural Ireland. You don't have to be in the centre of Dublin, centre of Belfast, or the centre of Derry, or any other major urban area to provide services throughout all of Ireland. We've seen that forced upon people during the pandemic. And more and more, there has to be more and more opportunities for people to work from the local hubs, work from their homes. And I believe, you know, our smaller towns and villages can be really regenerated, so they can. And I think because in most instances, there are powerful strengths in our rural communities. We might speak in the Dáil every day about the lack of investment in our rural communities and what they need. And we can stand up those arguments. But at the same time, if we do an examination on the positive side in regard to what our communities have, by and large, there are good schools at primary and second level, good preschool education. There are our football and hurling clubs and other sporting facilities as well. And also alongside that, the community centres, the parish halls, etc. So there's a huge infrastructure in place in rural Ireland already. It maybe needs a top-up, or it may be a re-imaging of some of that. And I think that would help to bring more people back to live in those communities, away from the hustle and bustle and hassle of urban life, where with traffic and with every other, and particularly the cost of housing, etc. So I think those type of initiatives that you speak about can really make a difference to making our rural and more remote areas much more attractive for people to come live and work, and also hopefully for people with new job opportunities to come to create in those areas as well. So I really wish you well with the project, and I compliment you again on you always going out and getting the views of communities. I think that has been a great strength in the different programmes since the late 1990s, and that's the way it needs to continue. But if you have an opportunity, if you have the figures available, you might just break down between the capital and the current spending. One issue I raised here a number of weeks ago was the Wider Horizons programme was an initiative funded under the International Fund for Ireland. That was run in the 1990s, where, say, youth clubs in Northern Ireland had a sister or club in our jurisdiction, vice versa. They shared different programmes. They came, students from the north came south, vice versa. Then there were international trips abroad where they went and there were host families in the States, Australia, whatever. They were extremely important, and I know many instances those students have remained in contact. So if there were similar type programmes in envisaged, I think that would be beneficial. Thank you very much, Acha Hirlig.